Hi everyone, welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's community talk show. I'm Wendy O'Connell, and our guest today is Lyle Howe. Lyle has worked at Brown & Roberts, our iconic and beloved local hardware store on Main Street, for over 14 years. He lives in Guilford by the Green River, and he comes from a background in theology, keyboard technologies, working at Stow Mills and United Natural Foods, and even a brief stint in LA nightclubs. Can't wait to hear about it. Hi, Lyle.
Hi, Wendy.
Great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming in the middle of the day when you should probably be doing inventory or something, right?
Well, it's okay. They've allowed me to leave.
They gave you leave to come. Good.
Yeah.
I just heard from you when you walked in that you're actually a local kid. You grew up here.
Yes, I was born here in Brattleboro, Vermont on Hospital Hill. We lived across the river in Chesterfield, and I have some very fond memories of growing up over there. Summer times with going fishing with my dog. That was pretty religious at that. Every day we would go fishing.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
In the Connecticut?
Oh no, it's a little brook that runs across Stage Road, underneath Stage Road in Chesterfield.
Yes. Did you have siblings?
I have two sisters, both younger than myself. So I'm the oldest. Yeah.
You're the oldest.
I am.
And what was your family like? Did you do a lot of things together?
We would go to the drive-in theater on weekends, and my dad had built a special bench in the back of the car so that we could lay down and fall asleep if we needed to.
Nice.
And we'd always have those are good memories as well.
Yeah, that's sweet. So the drive-in where, down in Northfield?
No, that would have been here on Putney Road behind Bono's motel up there.
Oh.
The Red Coach Inn.
Red Coach Inn?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, and it blew over and they never put it back up. But that was our local drive-in theater.
I swear that every time we do a show, there's another piece of Brattleboro history that gets revealed.
Oh, that's great.
I didn't know about that. That's so great.
Yeah.
And so when you were growing up, and did you go K through 12 in Brattleboro?
I left Brattleboro at the age of 17, or actually a little sooner than that. I came back and got my degrees, my diplomas, and attended a cosmetology school. But at 17, I went to California. I tried and hitchhiked out there, and I worked in a nightclub out there owned by Marshall Brevitz. It was very interesting on the way out. Our timing was not great. They were having the Chicago riots. And we were on the highway, and they came, and the police came up and thought that perhaps we were involved somehow in these riots. They were sparked in part by the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Oh.
Yeah,
so
in 1968. 1968.
Same year as JFK, as RFK.
I think so.
You just covered a lot of history right there. Let's go to LA.
Okay.
When you were in LA,
yes.
Did you go out by yourself? You hitchhiked out?
I went out with another friend. We split up once we got there, though, and we went our separate ways. And so I saw Marshall Brevitz outside this nightclub, and it was called the Experience. He was a concert producer in Miami, and he moved to Los Angeles at the request of the Blues Image, who was his house band. And the doorway to go in was a cutout of Jimi Hendrix, so you had to walk through Jimi Hendrix to get inside. And Jimmy played there, and Janis and John Lee Hooker were there, and the Blues Image, and a lot of great bands.
Yeah, so you got to see a lot of these people live.
I did.
Literally live, because not much after that they died.
Right. Yeah. And security didn't really happen until John Lennon was assassinated, so it was, you could go up and talk to them, say hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a small enough venue so that you could really...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So was that a big influence for you to be able to, be there and to see these people in person?
It was very surreal. It was this young boy from Brattleboro, Vermont, and I was right in the middle of everything that was happening that I wanted to be involved in. That's why I went out there.
Yeah.
And it happened. So
and it was the 60s.
It was the 60s. Yes, it was.
And it was L.A. It was
Los Angeles,
It was
yeah.
in L.A.
It was right on Sunset Boulevard.
Wow, that
Yeah.
must have been really mind-blowing.
It certainly was, yeah. I went down to Malibu and, explored around the area when I wasn't working.
Yeah.
I used to have to hang off the top of the roof and put the names of the bands that were playing that night on the marquee, which was, I can still remember doing that, and it was a little precarious, but that's what we did.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so you would do, it sounds like you would do a lot of different kinds of things to just make a living and be able to live there.
Yeah. I actually lived in the nightclub for a while.
Really?
So yeah, under the back there was a bleacher style, and the dressing room for the bands was through there, and there was a separate room out to the side. But on the way through, there was under the bleachers. It was closed off, and that's where I would spend my nights.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
60s couch surfing, right?
Yes, it was.
Did you come back to Brattleboro from there, or did you do other travels?
I went down to. I left there, and I met another friend out there, and we hitchhiked down to Hollywood, Florida, and that's where his family was. He wanted me to come meet his family, so I did that. I worked at Winn-Dixie while I was there, which was yeah.
That was a whole chain.
Yes,
right?
that's right. Southern,
Grocery stores.
down south. Yeah, I went back to Hartford, Connecticut, and because my dad lived in Windsor, and stayed a little while, and then I came back to Brattleboro.
Were you missing Vermont? Did you feel like you weren't finding your place out west or down south?
It was good to be back in Vermont, yes. And then I just pursued the cosmetology career, and everything was coming together. I went and I got my diplomas and made things right, having left school at a young age. And it was good to be back home. Yeah, Vermont is home. I used to cut my friend's hair, and they said I was good at it, so I said, oh. So I did that for about a year. I worked at Hair Affair on Elliott Street.
Yes.
Yeah. I was building up a good following, too.
You weren't just a barber. You
No,
were,
I was
doing men and women?
Yes. Yeah.
And did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah. Cutting hair, perms. The perms weren't all that great, but yeah. It was an experience.
And cosmetology school, was that here in Keene?
Yeah, I went over to Keene.
You did, yeah.
I used to travel back and forth in my little VW Bug every day.
Of course, we all had one.
Yes. My favorite car of all time.
I'd like to drive one again.
I would too.
Yeah.
And then I had an offer to make computer circuits at Amp Keyboard Technologies. So I left the profession. I was on Cotton Mill Hill in the old cotton mill. And so I worked there for about 5 years. And then they were going to move away. They were closing up. And I could go with them, which I didn't want to do because I had land and I had ties here, and I just didn't want to cut all my ties. So they had all these possibilities of where you could work in the area.
Yeah.
And so one of them was Stow Mills, and so I stayed there. And it evolved into United Natural Foods, and I was with them for 22 years.
Holy cow! Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people work there.
Yes, a lot of people.
Who ended up staying. Sabine Ryan, who is the co-op manager, and Bob Lyons, who's a property manager.
Yeah, he was with Northeast, which moved into the building after we moved out in Brattleboro, and when we moved over to Chesterfield. So
that's 22 years. That's a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
So what else were you doing in your life during that time?
During that time?
Yeah. Did you get married? And
yeah, I got married, and I had 2 children. Two boys, and I raised them from the 3rd and 4th grade all by myself through the years, and they're both doing very well here locally. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So they stayed in town.
They did, and I have grandchildren by both of them. So they're a blessing. Yeah, they come to visit. And actually, my youngest son lives right next door to me. So.
Oh, that's pretty great.
Yeah, I get this little knock, knock, knock from my granddaughter.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
So being a single dad for a number of years, that must have been tricky with having a full-time job as well.
Yeah, it was challenging.
Yeah.
You do the best you can, and
Right.
I think I did okay. They turned out well.
Yeah. And they're back here in town too. That is saying something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lyle, when you talk about you had some property, was that in Green River?
That's in Green River, yes. The Green River runs through Guilford. With my mail, it goes to Guilford, but it's actually the village of Green River, and it runs down in through to Leiden, Massachusetts, East Coleraine, and all through there.
Yes, quite a river, quite a beautiful river.
It is beautiful. Yep.
Did you have fishing in mind when you bought the property?
I did. Unfortunately, though, I would sit down there and go, I need to be doing this back up at the house. So I didn't do a lot of fishing. My children did, both of my boys. They fished.
Did you build your house?
I did. I added on to an existing structure and created a home of my own. Yeah.
Well, that's one of my questions leading up to Brown and Roberts as well, is I'm assuming that there were skills that you had that you brought to Brown and Roberts, and interest and knowledge of how to do things. So you did enough building on your own house. Is that where you got that expertise?
Well, when I was doing it on my own, I thought I knew what I was doing.
Right.
And then I got to Brown and Roberts and just got, I should have done it that way. So I've learned a lot working at Brown and Roberts. And I still learn, from day to day. So that's one of the great things about working there.
Oh, I'll bet. I would assume it's also learning from the customers as well as the other people you're working with.
Yeah, the contractors and whatever their project is for the day. And I enjoy helping them and solving problems. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that like DIY, do-it-yourself projects, and solving problems for other people is a big part of what it takes to work there.
It's a very large part of that, yes.
Yeah. People coming in and saying, I've got these two things, how do they go together?
A lot of things just shouldn't be DIY, though.
You're right.
Yes. But, we give them the best advice we can.
Well, speaking of DIY, Lyle, you did build a very big bridge over the Green River.
I did.
In your backyard.
I did.
Yeah.
2 of them. I lost one to a flood. So
you did?
I replaced one, and I built it higher and longer. It's a cable bridge and suspension bridge.
Really?
Yeah. And Irene came through shortly after putting the new one up. And I was there at home that day, and I looked up the river, and there's the power lines, and there's a river coming down the power lines, and I'm going, this is not right. And it came through, and the waters just kept rising and rising, and it got up to the bottom of my my bridge, and a tree came down and lifted it up, and I'm like, oh no, my new bridge. But it survived, and it crested right there. It started going over the boards, and then it started to recede.
Really?
And
so did it just sort of lift it back down?
It did. It went down very quickly. After it took away 2 of my good apple trees.
Oh.
And, and it left a mess behind. But
I'll bet.
the people upriver, they lost their bridge, and the people downriver from me, they lost their bridge. So I felt very fortunate that mine survived.
Well, yours was 72 feet, I believe, right?
Long, yeah.
Yeah,
it is
long.
a long
That's
bridge.
a long bridge.
It is. Yeah, it's a lot of cable and a lot of...
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see it. It sounds like it's really beautiful. Yeah. There are very few cable bridges around anymore.
No.
Especially larger ones being built. Did you enjoy building it? Did you have help?
No, I didn't. Well, raising the supports on the ends, I got some help to help put those up. Created a cable across and pulled it up with the car. And these huge uprights, and they fell into the holes perfectly that I had dug.
Nice.
Yeah.
That must have been very satisfying.
It took a while. It was a long project, but it was, very rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that you mentioned that you were about to go back to school at some point a while ago.
Right. Well, I did. I took several courses online at the Huntsville Bible College in theology and counseling, and I was pursuing that. And then I got a call from Paul Putnam, and he asked me if I would like to come to work, and then, so that was the end of that. And I've been at Brown and Roberts ever since.
Since then, yeah.
I do some sort of counseling there too, I guess. That's what happened, and I've been there for going on 14 years.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so when you were there were still Putnams involved in the business itself.
That's right. Paul, the son of Bernard, it would have spelled Bernard, but his name was Bernard, and Albina. They had bought the old Brown and Roberts on the west side of Main Street, where the old Llama, Toucan, and Crow was.
Yes.
And the Brown and Roberts originated because Brown's had a store on the east side. This is going way back till 1914, I think. Mm-hmm. And so she came over and merged with the Roberts, and it became Brown and Roberts. And she brought her wall coverings with her and her paints, and the rest was hardware. And so
I see.
It evolved from that.
They evolved from there. Did they have a romantic relationship, Elvina and?
Oh, they were married.
They were married.
Oh, well, when they bought it, it was 1970. Yeah, and the actual building for it used to be Montgomery Ward's was built in 1929. The buildings are identical all across the country for the Montgomery Wards.
One time years ago, Lyle, you were gracious enough to take my husband and I up to what's actually the fourth floor of Brown and Roberts, and looked at, and that's when you told, we were up there for some reason looking for some inventory, I think, but you showed us the window that you can look out of from there, and then you told us about it being Montgomery Ward, which I think it's one of those things that a lot of people in Brattleboro know but can't place. For one thing, what was Montgomery Ward doing in Brattleboro? That was a huge chain.
Yeah.
Back in the time.
And back in 1929.
29,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it was big.
Yes.
4 floors.
Absolutely. Yeah. Big.
Yeah. It's incredible. And Brown and Roberts has managed to pretty much fill all the space.
That is amazing, I think, in my mind. That's amazing that they moved from such a small space to 4 floors and such an expanse of room.
Yeah.
From the outside, you look at it and you go, well, it's not that big.
Right.
But you step inside, and you realize there's an upstairs and a downstairs, and the ceilings are seriously high. And,
yes. Really high. And then, there's it's funny because I think most of us know the layout of that store pretty well. We know that plumbing is on that little mezzanine up there, right?
That's right.
And then the stairs that go up to, we always assume are secret offices that you have.
In the front.
In the stairway upside.
Yeah.
And then downstairs, you have a lot of power tools and a lot of fixing tools as well, right?
That's where they repair the chainsaws or lawnmowers or snowblowers.
Right.
And that's where they sell them all as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in the basement. It's interesting because they have to go upstairs with this heavy equipment, right?
There's an elevator at the back dock, and we've actually got a new elevator put in. And so thank goodness, there's an elevator.
Yeah.
Because there's some heavy equipment that needs to come up and down.
And is that still very active part of the business?
Oh, it's huge.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, the lineup for repairs on lawnmowers right now is big.
Yes.
Yeah. And we do screen repairs down there also. And
Do you work down there much?
Not a lot. If the need calls, I go down and help a customer. I know where everything is down there.
Yeah. In general, I'm guessing that most of the people who work there can pinch hit in any department.
That's right.
Do you go through a big training?
No, just on the job. Just here you go, Lyle.
On the job and on your feet.
Yeah. So when you first start working there, you ask a lot of questions.
Right.
And I don't have to ask as many anymore. So
very many of us could draw a layout of Brown and Roberts.
Yeah.
We've been in there so often for so many various things. Has the inventory changed much since you've been there? Have you noticed?
Not really. We've lost a few of the specialty items that we used to sell singular, like nails, where you could buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
We have a few still, but not like we used to. And we still have the scales out back, so you can still buy screws by the pound or half pound or handful or whatever it is you need.
Yeah.
And But no, not a lot of changes.
Yeah.
No.
You know, I think almost anybody, myself included, feels like Brown and Roberts has been there since the 1800s, that it was an original Vermont kind of trading store, hardware store, whatever. And so it's a surprise to know that it really didn't come into being until the 70s. Is that right?
That's right. The Putnams moved in 1974. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was very much a family business.
Very much.
Yes.
Yeah. Two of the sons are still there, of the brothers that were, after Bernard and Albina left, then it was left to their sons, Paul and Michael and Robert. And Robert's two sons are still there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
that's
we
three-
still have some Putnams there.
Oh, that's 3 generations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The ambiance of the store has never changed. The squeaky floors and the old wooden drawers. And,
Yes.
and those came from the 1900s. Those were from made by Duluth. I believe it's out of Duluth, Minnesota. And the old front counter came from either, it was either Woolworths or Grant's across the street.
Oh, that had,
Yeah. The one that didn't burn all the way. I think Woolworths burned.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Grant's was here when I moved here, which was 1980.
Yes.
I think it was kind of on its way out. But, you know, looking back, isn't it remarkable that Brattleboro had those kinds of things right on Main Street? You know, a Woolworths and a Grant's, National and Montgomery Ward, national companies here in little old Brattleboro.
It was wonderful. You know, Friday nights used to be shopping nights downtown, and so the streets were filled with people. It was totally different then.
There are people talking about making Friday nights open nights like that, so with retail staying open. We have our gallery walk,
That's right,
at the
yes.
beginning of the month, which is great. But there's also street fair and a lot of performance and a lot of various things going on, which doesn't necessarily feed the Main Street retail businesses.
Right.
It started out as the art galleries.
That's
so
right, yes.
I think it's in sort of a transition period. But it would be wonderful to have more nightlife in Brattleboro.
It would. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know we have some new businesses that are opening up that are accommodating that.
That's
to
great.
Varying
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah, we've lost some, but we're gaining some others. So.
It's been like that.
Yeah.
through
Hopefully
the
it's
years.
a balance in there.
Yeah. I know the old Mole's Eye has opened up, which is kind of exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another beautiful space.
No more open mic down there, but
Oh, yeah.
I used to play down there.
Oh, you did? What'd you play?
Blues harp, harmonica.
Really?
Yeah. I used to jam with the Ware Rivers Club and a band called French Kiss out of Keene. Yeah.
And so you played harmonica, harp,
Yeah.
What was your inspiration for that? Like, what does that go back to for you?
It goes way back to the beginning of the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Dylan, I guess. Yeah.
And you listened to all the usual suspects, I assume, back then?
I did.
Vinyl?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. My 45 collection was pretty high. Wished I still had hung on to all that.
Can you believe that we used to put those little discs in the middle of those little records and put them on one by one to listen to? Isn't that amazing now?
We did.
We did.
Yes, we
did.
Yeah.
We did it. And then, LPs, long playing records, were, but I can remember stacking those up.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
And hearing them plunk down, and the needle going on. Yeah. When you came to Brattleboro as a teenager, were there places to hang out for you?
Not really. It was just groups, and I guess you would call us gangs, good gangs.
Good gangs,
gangs of friends.
Yes.
So we would just hang out. We'd go to the park, or there was that to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd go fishing, and play ball.
Talking about all of this old stuff, Lyle, olden days in Brattleboro, you remembered the Royal Diner when it was downtown.
I do remember it very well. Yes, I worked there part-time after school, and discovered by doing that, my mom told me that she used to do the same thing when she attended school right here in this building.
Oh.
Yeah, so she would go across the street after school and work at the diner. Yeah. So.
And that diner got moved out into West Brattleboro and became the Chelsea Royal, right?
Right. For years, it sat in a field over in Chesterfield. And then the Chelsea Royal rescued it and brought it into West Brattleboro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been there for a long time
Yes,
now.
it has been.
Yeah.
And we do hear rumors that it might be opening up again, but nothing that we can spread on television.
Okay.
Nothing
Okay.
we know for sure. Lyle, you're working at Brown and Roberts, and in the course of the day, you're doing a lot of different kinds of things. Could you give us just kind of a photograph of what a day in the life of Brown and Roberts is like?
Sure.
You don't have to punch in, probably, right?
No.
No.
Well, I can do that on my phone.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, we've been purchased by Obashan. So it's still Brown and Roberts and it's still Ace. But prior to that, we were purchased by Bibbins, and there was 6 stores in Vermont.
right. I forgot that.
And so Bibbins retired and sold to Obashan. And the transition has been great so far. Yeah, it's
Thank God, thank Lord.
Amen,
Right?
amen,
Amen. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Good.
So a day in the life of Brown and Roberts is I'm almost supposed to be part-time, but I'm there 5 days a week. So I go in a little later than most, but we all have our areas.
Yeah.
Like Stephen has paint, and I've got the housewares wall and goods. So the first thing we do is we check to make sure that there's no empty slots. So and as you're doing this, of course, you're waiting on customers that need help. But that can take well, on a Monday for me, it takes quite a while because the weekend has really depleted the wall of goods. So, and from there, we accommodate each other so that we can go to lunch, and we cover different registers and stay on the floor so the customers can get all the service they need. And it's pretty much it throughout the day. I would cut plexiglass if there's orders hanging on the wall, if need be, or I would cut glass orders. And we'd have sharpening there as well.
Yes.
So we take in those orders, and they're done on a Friday or a Saturday. So the day goes quick there. It's very busy.
I'll bet it does.
Yeah.
I'll bet it does.
It really does.
From start. And when first thing in the morning, are you getting a lot of construction people or a lot of people with jobs going on to their jobs?
Contractors.
Contractors,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, we do. We get a lot of, I'd say 90% of our customers are return customers that come in regularly.
Yeah.
Some of them daily and multiple times a day.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The place is busy,
Yeah.
and I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing that says Brown and Roberts like the squeak of those floors.
Right.
It's really something, isn't it?
It is,
I know. I think we all really appreciate it. Anything, I should have asked you this beforehand so you could think about it, but what's like one of the weirdest requests you've ever gotten, or one of the strangest questions that anyone asked you?
Do we sell milk? I guess that would be the oddest request. I'm sorry, we don't have milk.
Well, I really, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
You're very welcome.
It was really great to have you on the show, and I also want to thank you for being just such a great customer service guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. But thank you.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I got you on the show, because I really wanted someone from Brown and Roberts, and you've helped me out with numerous odd things, and I know that you really put your all into it to try to make things work. So it's much appreciated.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
We will see you around. We know exactly where to find you.
I will be there.
Okay. Thanks to all of you for tuning in today and for hearing Lyle's stories about Brown and Roberts, and part of the history and part of his history of coming and going back and forth from Brattleboro to other adventures, but always coming back here, as many of us have done. So thank you, and we will see you next time.